Welcome back. About 2 months ago, I took a biological age test and I had shared my results with you in a previous video. If you have not seen that video, I will link it down below. In that video, I also announced that we were doing a giveaway. DoNotAge was incredibly generous and they are giving away an amazing longevity package. To enter this giveaway, I had asked you to please leave a question under that video for either myself or Ellen, the CEO of DoNotAge. You asked some amazing questions, and in today's video, we will be talking to Ellen, and Ellen will answer all of your questions. He will also announce the winner of the giveaway. Now, before we talk to Ellen, I want to say really briefly that while all of these supplements are incredible, they are not necessary, because that was a question I got quite frequently. Which of these supplements are necessary? None of them are necessary. Supplements are just that. They are supplements. And the best thing we can do to be healthy and to positively affect our biological aging process is to live a healthy lifestyle, meaning to eat a nutrient-dense diet, to manage our stress, to exercise, and to prioritize our sleep. Then, if we're doing all of these things, we can add some supplements here and there, but we cannot out-supplement an unhealthy lifestyle. So none of these supplements are necessary. I also don't take all of the supplements in this package. I take quite a few, but I don't take all of them. So with that said, let's talk to Ellen. Let's answer all of your questions and announce the winner.
Hi, Ellen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
So my name's Alan Graves. I'm the CEO at DoNotAge.org. We're a health research organization dedicated to extending healthy lifespan for as many people as possible. We focus on the research, and we also have a consumer-facing side of the business as well.
We had a ton of questions for you. I grouped them together because we had so many questions. So we had quite a few questions on the test itself. First of all, people wanted to know, how can you tell all of this with a little bit of saliva?
Yeah, sure. First of all, we should probably answer what the difference is between biological age and calendar age. So the biological age is how old you are on the inside and is a lot more related to your health. And your calendar age is obviously the one that we all know, which is how many birthdays you've had. We use something called epigenetics as well as genetics to look at the biomarkers to tell your biological age. So roughly 20% of your health and wellness is determined by genetics. So you can't do much about that. However, that means there's 80% of your health that is determined by lifestyle and environment, meaning you can make changes to it and affect your longevity in a huge way by making a few small changes. And the test just lets people track that progress. So we can actually use skin, blood, anything these days to get this information. Saliva is just the least invasive and easiest one to use. In terms of privacy, we would never share anybody's data. And if that was ever to be the case, you would be asked first. We've got no reason to share that data. We're certainly not interested in it aside from giving you your results. So everyone can be secure, can be safe in the knowledge that we're not going to give that information out.
I'm glad you're saying that because that was a concern some people had. And people asked, is the DNA then just being thrown away? I would assume it is, right?
Yeah, so we dispose of anything that we don't use afterwards, and then everything becomes anonymized in the database so that we can't access the information anyway. Only you can do that.
Okay. And what about the accuracy of the test? That was another question people had. How accurate is this test?
Yeah, so it's based on something called the Horvath clock, which has been used in multiple studies, and we believe it's within about a 6-month accuracy. So basically, the age you see is going to be pretty accurate. There are some tests on the market that only look at like around 10 biomarkers, which is not enough. We're looking at thousands and thousands, and that's what gives us that accuracy.
I was really impressed by the test and by the suggestions it also gave me. I had done a DNA test about 10 years ago, so I knew a few of the things, but I didn't really know my epigenetics. I just knew my genes. So it was quite interesting. And obviously now looking at these results, it kind of suggests what sort of longevity supplements I can take. But the question I got quite often is, are these supplements safe? Are they safe for the kidneys? Are they safe for us to take daily? Should we take them daily? Should we take them in moderation or make modifications to our dosage?
Yes, that's right. So the testing can help decide your dosage, and you can edit that as you go along if you wish. But our products are intended for daily use. So they're all intended to be used in one protocol together, and they're intended for daily use. So we make sure they're safe for daily use. Dietary supplements are called dietary supplements for a reason. If you're getting the right supplements, then yes, you can use them every day 100% safely.
Well, let's talk about that really quickly. You said they're called dietary supplements for a reason, and I mentioned that in the intro. You cannot out-supplement a crappy diet or an unhealthy lifestyle. So we got to make sure that, we want to, I know you believe that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think people should always start with the basics. So make sure you're getting your exercise in, try and fix your sleep naturally if you can, and looking at your diet, what times you're eating, what kind of foods you're eating. Those should be your foundations, and then you supplement those with the dietary supplements.
Do any of the supplements interfere with antidepressants or anxiety medications, or any other medication for that matter?
So the official line has to be speak to your doctor. You should always try and get medical advice from a local physician. We do have people taking those kind of medications alongside ours successfully, but if you're unsure, just speak to your doctor.
How are your supplements sourced?
We go through a long research process first, and then once we've identified what we want to use and what's going to work for human health, we then go about trying to find the best source of that. So we manufacture in the UK, but raw materials come from all over the world. Our current batch of Sirt 6 activator comes from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So, we really do go all over the world to get our raw ingredients.
And we will talk more about Sirt 6 activator because I had quite a few questions on that as well. A couple of people wanted to know, with the increased demand of these supplements, are the prices going to come down? Because while the supplements I feel are worth it, we know they're not cheap.
Yeah, definitely. And we take the second half of our mission as seriously as the first. So the mission is extend healthy lifespan for as many people as possible. For as many people as possible means we need to try and keep the cost down. So there's no socioeconomic barriers. So it's not only wealthy people that can afford to have these benefits. And yes, as soon as we can, we drop those prices. And of course, scale does help with that. So if we buy 10 tons of NMN this time instead of 5 tons last time, we may get a better price for the raw ingredient, which means we can then bring the price down.
Cool. We will talk about NMN more in a second, but I wanted to go, you said increase healthy lifespan. Yeah. Tell us really quickly what that means.
Yeah, so it's just about the number of years without significant disease and the things that we relate to age-related decline. So that can be anything from the basic mobility, your energy levels, how you feel in terms of your well-being, all the way to things like Alzheimer's, cancer, heart disease, these really scary sounding words that we know are affected by aging. And we also know there's ways to minimize your risks of getting those diseases.
I had one subscriber put it really well. She said she wants to die healthy. I like that.
Yeah, that's right. So our focus is on increasing the number of healthy years rather than increasing the number of years. I think it was David Sinclair that was once doing a talk and said, who here wants to live to 120? Mm-hmm. And there was 2 people put their hand up. And then he did it again and said, okay, let me ask this question. If you could feel how you feel right now, who here wants to live to 120? And everybody put their hand up. So that's basically what we're going for.
So let's talk about NMN, my personal favorite. In fact, I got the question quite a bit. My desert island supplement, what would that be? And for me, it's definitely NMN. I'll ask you yours in a second. But let's talk about NMN. Tell us really fast, what is NMN?
So it stands for nicotinamide mononucleotide. And now you can see why we abbreviate it to NMN. It is the direct precursor to NAD, meaning when you take it, you boost your NAD levels, and restoring NAD is a great way to combat age-related decline. I think that's as short as I can make it.
Well, tell us, since we're talking about it, what is NAD?
Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It's responsible for it assists in over 400 different processes within your cell. If you didn't have it, you'd be dead in less than a minute. So it's extremely important. It's in every cell of your body. And as we age, the levels decrease, which leads to a lot of downstream issues.
Now, one question I had is, how can you detect a fake NMN product? Because obviously there are many on the market now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's lots of ways. The checklist would be like 50 points deep. I'll try and think of a top 3. So you could have GMP compliance is a big one. Look for third-party testing. So make sure the product's been sent to a completely independent lab and tested there. Avoid mixed products, I think, is a good one to say. So, you know, if somebody's trying to say, oh, our product has NMN, TMG, Resveratrol, NR, and, you know, they mix quite a lot of ingredients in. A lot of the times they do that because it's then more difficult for you as the consumer to test that product and see whether it's really got in what it says it's got in. So the kind of checklist for the ingredients should be only NMN, and then the purity of that NMN, which should be a minimum of 99%.
Now, can NMN have any dangerous side effects?
I'd like to say no. We've certainly not seen any. It's abundant in the body already. So similar to NAD, if you didn't have any NMN, you'd be in serious trouble. So all you're really doing by ingesting it is topping up what's already in the system, or putting those levels back to how they were when you were in your youth.
A friend of mine always says there is nothing that doesn't exist. So there could be side effects, but we don't know of dangerous side effects.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, like I say, we've got tens of thousands of people taking at least a gram a day each, and we've not had any. So fingers crossed there won't be any.
What about with a history of cancer? Should you take NMN? Should you stay away from it? History of cancer, or your family has a history of cancer?
Again, the official advice always has to be speak to your physician. But obviously what we see is we have lots of people that are doing that and having good success. And there are some sort of early studies that show signs that NMN can help, but we won't know for sure until there's long-term human studies, which is a very long way away.
So talk to your doctor, who probably says, what is NMN?
Yeah.
When I talk about NMN, I always say it's best to be taken with a methyl donor such as TMG. Yes. How do you feel about it? Does it have to be taken with TMG? Can it be taken with a different methyl donor?
Yep, it can be taken with a different methyl donor. It is possible to get all your methyls from your diet, but the vast majority of people don't get enough. So, and TMG is also protective of the liver. So, you know, even if you have enough methyls, a lot of people take TMG anyway because it helps to protect their liver, and it's a low cost item. So better to be safe than sorry, I think a lot of people think.
So TMG is trimethylglycine, and it is a methyl donor. Now let's very quickly say what methyl donors are and why it's a good idea to take them with NMN.
So essentially, as your body's turning NMN into NAD, it uses up methyl groups, and that obviously then depletes your natural levels of methyl groups. So boosting them up with TMG means that your body's got enough so that you're not wasting any of your NMN. You can turn it all into NAD, which is what it needs to be.
If you are a poor methylator, meaning you have plenty of methyl groups floating around in your system, should you still take a methyl donor with NMN, or?
It comes down to personal choice. I think that, again, because of the other benefits of TMG, then there's not really much danger of taking trimethylglycine because it can help protect your liver and a few other benefits as well.
How about flavonoids? Does NMN work better when combined with flavonoids such as quercetin?
Yeah, so NMN is kind of seen as the fuel, while others are like the accelerator pedal. So you've got your resveratrol, quercetin, Sirt activator, things like that. They're the accelerators, whereas NMN is the fuel, so the kind of base that you need. If you don't have enough NAD in your system, the accelerators just won't work as well, similar to the car analogy.
So taking them combined is a good idea, but it's not necessarily necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was saying earlier, my desert island supplement would be NMN. When I said that, some people said, aside from NMN, if somebody was financially limited, what would be the one supplement you would say to take on top of NMN?
I think for me, it has to be Sirt6 activator, just because of the results we've seen from it and how powerful it is. If you look at the last 3 months of data, it's our most popular ingredient, even more so than NMN. Obviously, over all time, NMN is more popular, but Sirt6 activator has only been out since last year. So yeah, it's extremely popular for a reason.
Well, we will talk about Sirt6 in a second, because I am definitely curious about it as well. But I have one last question on NMN, and that question is, do you take NMN or NR, and what effects have you had with it? And what is your desert island supplement?
Right, so I take NMN personally. There's no conclusive proof at which one is superior, NMN or NR, but NMN is the direct precursor, so it has to go through less processors to become NAD. And I prefer NMN. I have more aggregated data from our members on NMN, so I get to see the benefits it has. You know, people talk about energy, sleep, vision. Because it's an upstream fix, there's lots of downstream benefits. And yeah, so I definitely at the moment choose NMN over NR, but that's not my desert island supplement. It would be Sirt6 activator, just because of the incredible results we've seen in such a short space of time.
All right, so let's talk about Sirt6 activator. Can you tell us what it is? What does it do in the body? I know it's a fairly new supplement. I don't know that much about it, to be honest. So I'm really curious to hear what you have to say.
So Sirt6 activator is an all-natural product derived from seaweed, created by DoNotAge and Professor Vera Gorbanova. Vera, if people don't know, has studied healthy lifespan for more than 20 years at her very own aging research center. So Sirt6 is something that's highly correlated with maximum lifespan, and those that live longer have more active Sirt6. So we can see that correlation. We've seen that boosting Sirt6 reduces inflammation. That's one of the really key elements to its benefits, and it also repairs DNA. So it's extremely difficult as an ingredient to create this product to ensure that it activates Sirt6, because there's a lot of ingredients that also inhibit Sirt6, which is obviously not what we want. So we're very proud that we've been able to create Sirt6 activator, and it's helping tens of thousands of people all over the globe.
Now, really briefly, what is Sirt6? It's one of the Sirtuins. Just tell us a little bit more about it.
Sirtuins there's basically 7 Sirtuins in our bodies, and they're little proteins that kind of do the anti-aging work for us. You might hear people like Dr. Sinclair talking about Sirtuin 1, which is activated by Resveratrol. Professor Gorbanova focuses on Sirt6 because it's kind of nicknamed the longevity gene, because when Sirtuin 6 is activated, that's when we see those extended lifespans. Unfortunately, as with most things, as we age, the activity levels of these Sirtuins decrease. And so it's believed that increasing the activity of the Sirtuins, particularly Sirt6, will help to reverse the aging process.
So Sirt6 activator is your desert island supplement. Can you tell us what you feel when you take it? Do you feel something when you take it, or is it more for prevention?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more for prevention. I'm in my early 30s, but a lot of the feedback we get is about energy. That's one of the most noticeable ones straight away. But we've got less than a year's worth of data. And whilst it's all very positive, we've seen from other ingredients that these benefits compound over time. So the longer you take it, the more benefits you see from it. But yeah, I mean, obviously reducing inflammation, think about how many health issues are exacerbated by inflammation. Yeah. If you can reduce that inflammation and repair your DNA, then it's bound to be a good thing.
So since you're talking about inflammation, I got a ton of questions on inflammation, which shows how rampant inflammation is in this day and age. A lot of questions on autoimmune diseases. Can any of these supplements help with autoimmune diseases, either help you feel better, even reverse some damage? Can any of the supplements help with inflammation? Also, can any of the supplements help with immunity?
Yeah, so people might be used to traditional supplements that would be like immunity booster or whatever it might be. and there'll be certain ingredients in there that are targeted towards that, vitamin C and whatever else it might be. Whilst they have their place, what we're trying to do is we're targeting those upstream causes, so inflammation is one of them, of age-related decline. And so by doing that, one of the downstream benefits is an improved immunity. So we wouldn't ever have an immunity product, but taking a protocol of our products helps to improve your immune system, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let's say somebody has rheumatoid arthritis, came up quite a bit. Let's say somebody has RA. What protocol would you suggest for them to take to help with that?
So we've actually seen a lot of success with Resveratrol for people with arthritis. But again, like I say, because our protocol's aimed upstream, taking multiple of the products can help a lot of different things downstream. So that includes rheumatoid arthritis and lots of other things. But when it comes to specific autoimmune diseases, we have a ton of success with people that have those. So like fibromyalgia comes up quite a lot, and a few others, Hashimoto's, things like that. But because they are medical conditions, we must once again say, check with your physician first. Don't do anything without asking your doctor. And if you're unsure, you can always drop us an email. hello@donotage.org is our email address.
I will link it down below. And of course, we also have to remember with inflammation, diet is crucial. Staying away from inflammatory foods.
Definitely.
That's also crucial. But so you would say resveratrol can be quite helpful for, or you have seen it to be helpful for autoimmune diseases?
All we can go on is the feedback that we've had from our members, which is obviously a lot of people, but it's not a scientific study. You know, this is each piece of feedback is an N of 1. They might be taking 1 gram, they might be taking half a gram, they might be taking 2 grams, how long they've been taking it for. You know, what I get to see is the aggregated data, and that's what gives me these insights.
Okay. So another question I got quite frequently is, where should a healthy woman in her 40s or in her 50s start? Which supplements should they start with?
Yeah, so super difficult to answer that without knowing what their goals are. But I mean, the typical one we see is NMN, TMG, Sirt 6 activator. That's how a lot of people start because they're the most popular. People tend to see results straight away, and people like to feel results. But the real answer, I suppose, would be to go to our science page on our website and then just look through. We have a dedicated tab to each ingredient and what the science shows it can be used for. And then from there, you can make an informed decision about what you want to start with and then add or subtract from that as you go along. Maybe some self-experimentation. But again, if anyone needs any help, just email us and get one of the team to give people a call. If they include their phone number, someone will call them back and give them some personalized advice.
That's great, because it is quite difficult because you don't know what is somebody's goal. For me, I know that's what I started with was NMN and TMG, and I noticed the results right away. So that's why it's my desert island supplement. Now, I also got quite a few younger guys. I know you're in your 30s and you obviously take the supplements, but do you really think it's necessary? Well, necessary is a strong word. We already said none of this is necessary, but in your 30s, would you really suggest somebody in their early 30s to already start supplementing?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say, because we do get this question a lot, is sort the base out first. So make sure your lifestyle is correct. Try and improve sleep naturally. Try and get the diet right. When you eat is really important to make sure there's a little bit of time for fasting, so you're not constantly eating and putting your body under strain. Stress levels and diet, as in actual food that you're eating. Then it's the dietary supplements. It's certainly not too young to start in your 30s, where the data looks like maybe late 20s is probably optimal, but we tend to say 30 is where we're going to start recommending it, just to be sure. And of course, that's not to say that if you're 65, it's not going to help you, but obviously prevention is a lot easier than cure.
Yeah, but I'm glad you brought that up. So it's not too late. Even if you're 65, 70, 80, you can still benefit. Exactly.
And again, going back to Dr. Sinclair, he talks a lot about his father, who I think started in his late 70s or early 80s, and he'd already declined quite a lot, and now he's doing fantastically well on these ingredients.
So since we're talking about all the different age groups, do specific supplements benefit you more depending on your age?
The truthful answer is
that's what we want.
yeah, I mean, the ultimately truthful answer is we don't really know. But obviously, as a generalization, the older you are, the more damage has already happened to your body. So what we tend to find is that the older someone is, the more they feel those benefits straight away, because it's more of a repair job than a prevent job. Whereas like when I take a lot of the products, if it's something like, for example, now I found my level for NMN, how much NMN is right for me to keep my NAD levels where I want. Once you're used to it, you're used to it, right? So I just don't feel that decline. Whereas if somebody has low NAD levels, which is going to be pretty much anybody over like 45, then they're probably going to feel a lot of the positive benefits of boosting their NAD levels back up.
Do any of the supplements help mental acuity? So if there is a family history of Alzheimer's, dementia, are there any supplements that can help, hopefully, with prevention, or if there is already some decline?
Yeah, so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but obviously we are aiming at the upstream causes of aging, which will then help those downstream effects like mental acuity. Having said that, there is one called Spermidine, which has been shown to, in some animal models, reverse Alzheimer's, dementia, and so basically neurodegenerative diseases, and improve memory as well. So there's a lot of good data around Spermidine, and I think that's why a lot of people are excited about it. It just has a pretty terrible name.
It sure does.
And that's because that's where it was first found.
Since we're talking about Spermidine, let's talk a little bit more about it, because I had quite a few questions on that as well, because that is sort of one of the newer, exciting supplements as well. Can you tell us, aside from where it comes from, what it is and what it does in the body?
Yeah, so just for clarity, that's not where we extract it from for the product. Yeah, so we use a wheat germ product. So it's one of our very few products that actually does have wheat and gluten in it. We tend to find that people that are gluten intolerant aren't too bad with it. But obviously we wouldn't recommend it to celiacs, or if anybody wanted to be super careful, then don't take it. Aside from that, it's very high in Spermidine, and Spermidine is something that activates autophagy. So autophagy is a little bit like the body, when the body's in self-cleaning mode. So again, it's a version of repair. And activating autophagy without Spermidine is very difficult, because you have to do some pretty extreme things like not eating for a few days, and no calories and all this kind of thing, which obviously comes with its own dangers as well as some other benefits. So yeah, we thought that Spermidine would be a good addition for people's health, so they can activate autophagy without having to go hungry for huge long periods of time.
So how does Spermidine compare with Senolytics such as Fisetin?
So unfortunately, autophagy is kind of the natural process of getting rid of cells when they need to be gotten rid of. Once a cell has become senescent, it becomes very difficult to get rid of it without a senolytic. So things like Fisetin are very much concentrated on removing those senescent cells that build up in the body over time, whereas activating autophagy with Spermidine is just about keeping your body going on getting rid of the cells that are just coming to the end of their life cycle.
Okay, so both of them combined would be a good idea, not one or the other. Okay.
Yeah.
Another question I got quite frequently is, which supplements protect from excess stress? It's the times we live in.
Yeah, I get that. I burn the candle at both ends sometimes, and that means that I get stressed quite a fair bit, which is, I should practice what I preach a little bit more sometimes. But data-wise, Apigenin is a good product for reducing stress. However, I would stress that reducing stress is definitely something you can do without supplements, and I don't think I would recommend anybody to take Apigenin for stress. I would recommend that they look at those sources of stress in their life and try and find out why it's happening and how they can overcome that without supplementation, because then you become reliant on a supplement for a feeling, for an emotion. And I think that's not particularly healthy. Apigenin is great because it inhibits CD38, which helps with your NAD levels, and it does have calming effects. But as I say, I think it's best if people look at how to do that naturally.
Yeah, I agree. Stress management is definitely one of those lifestyle changes that can hugely affect our epigenetics.
Interestingly enough, what we tend to see is when people start on these regimes, obviously they're already trying their diet and exercise, things like that. They start on the supplement regime, they start to feel better physically, and that helps with the mental health anyway. Because it's all interrelated. So
that's true. What about the best supplements for fatigue and pain?
So fatigue, I guess it depends what the source of the fatigue is, and that can be difficult if you don't know yourself. If you're struggling to sleep, there's a lot. I think we've got a blog post on that. If not, people can reach out and we'll give some advice. But essentially, there's a lot of things you can do to optimize your sleep. We do have a product for it if people are still suffering after that can help induce sleep naturally. But if the fatigue is just an age thing, then again, I would recommend Sirt 6 activator. That's the one that seems to give people the most energy. And as for pain, again, we wouldn't want to recommend a specific product for pain, because it depends on the source of your pain, why it's happening, where it's coming from, and all those kind of things.
So for fatigue, you would say Sirt 6 over NMN?
Yeah, because if the answer to your fatigue is to have more energy, then yeah, definitely. But NMN gives energy as well. So, they're both fantastic products. They just work in different ways.
If one is sensitive to supplements, where should they start and how should they proceed from there?
Yeah, so we're just using concentrated forms of what's found in nature. So all we do is find the best bits that nature's already given us and then concentrate those. There shouldn't be any major issues around sensitivity. We find about 1 in 20 people have stomach discomfort, which will go away after a week or so. So yeah, the worst we see is stomach discomfort. If anyone's unsure, they can always start on half measures, half doses, and then work their way up. That's perfectly fine.
But there is not a supplement you would say, if you're sensitive, start with this one and see how it goes. And then they should all be fine, even for somebody who's sensitive.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously there's some that are more culprits than others. Like we've never seen any adverse reactions to NMN. However, resveratrol, and there are some, like that's more of the 1 in 20, because that's how they work. So resveratrol is not something that's found naturally in the body. It's a hormetic, which just basically means what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So when you put resveratrol into your body, what you're actually doing is activating your body's natural defenses. So the body recognizes resveratrol and says, right, we need to attack this and send out these messages. Whereas when you're putting NMN in your body, you're topping up the good stuff. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. What happens to somebody who is sensitive to resveratrol?
Yeah, they might have stomach discomfort. So feeling nauseous, and then very, very rarely, some people might get diarrhea for a couple of days as their body's getting used to it.
Let's talk about sauna and cold therapy. That's another question I had. What are the benefits? Which one is better, infrared sauna, cold therapy? What are your thoughts on that?
So again, we don't know which one is better yet, but what the data looks like so far is the benefit occurs, the highest benefit occurs when you go from one to the other. So you go infrared sauna, plunge pool, infrared sauna, plunge pool. Some people use hot bath, cold shower, hot bath, cold shower. And that's how a lot of people build up to it, because if you've ever been in a plunge pool, it's not easy to get hold of your breath. Yeah. But again, it's something that you can work up to. And this isn't something you have to do for 3 hours every day. It can be 5 minutes in the morning. And people tend to use the infrared saunas first thing in the morning, again, because it's increases NAD, it's linked to the circadian rhythm, because your body's feeling it, it's replicating the sunshine. And then so what you can do is go to this infrared sauna, and then even if you haven't got a plunge pool, you can have a cold shower and then maybe interchange between the two. The interesting thing, the one that I'm most interested in, is the cold therapy, because of what it can do to your fat. So it can turn white fat, which is not the great one, into brown fat, yeah, which is much healthier. So yeah, again, the data is very early on it, but it does look very promising. And if anyone's interested in it and has the funds to spend on infrared saunas and things like that, then it's definitely worth a go.
But the easy thing is just to take a cold shower, which I have been forcing myself to do for the last 2 weeks. It's not fun, but I'm curious to see what it does. So
yeah, and you got to remember, this doesn't mean you have to start off fully cold on the shower. You can start with a normal shower and then just do your last 30 seconds as freezing or at least cold, and then just work your way up and try and, you know, again, please do it safely. We don't want anyone complaining of hypothermia.
Well, but the benefits of brown fat are, first of all, it's metabolically active, similar to muscle. So therefore your metabolism increases. It also keeps you warm. So I have found, since I take the cold showers, strangely enough, I'm actually warmer afterwards than when I take a hot shower, because the body is obviously trying to warm you up, but that lasts throughout the day, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and that's exactly what a lot of longevity protocols are. We're basically hacking nature. So our bodies are very smart, and if we're in a cold place, they turn on all these longevity pathways. All right, need to warm up, okay, there's a bit of a problem here. We're not comfortable, so we need to send out all these longevity signals to the body. So it's similar to what I was talking about with resveratrol. So putting ourselves through extreme cold is activating Sirtuins as well as other longevity pathways. So yeah, it's called hormesis. How
do you feel about AKG?
So AKG, shall I go over what it is first of all?
Yes, please.
Okay, so alpha ketoglutarate is a key ingredient in the Krebs cycle in the body. And we've got a lot of rodent studies on it showing that when it's increased in aged mice, we see fur regrowth, improved grip strength, their frailty is reduced, which is obviously really important as we age. And then there was a recent human study that showed a reduction in biological age using CA-AKG, which is the ingredient that we provide. And that's basically the calcium salt version of alpha ketoglutarate. It just helps it be absorbed into the body a little bit easier. And how do I feel about AKG? Well, I take it. So hopefully that tells you what you need to know.
Okay. And now we're going to announce the winner.
Okay, so I would like to say thank you, everybody, for your questions. It was much appreciated. Tried my best to answer them. And
awesome.
Congratulations to the winner, Serafina.
Congratulations, Serafina. I'm going to have Serafina get in touch with you, and you will send that amazing package her way.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for that. That is really awesome. And thank you so much for being here, Alan.
No, it was my pleasure. If anybody wants to find out more, we are at www.donotage.org, and then there's a science page on there, or you can contact us for personalized advice. And once again, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Claudia.
Thank you. I will link all your information down below.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.